You are not afraid of failure. You are not afraid of rejection. You are not even afraid of pain. What you are actually afraid of is being seen for who you really are. And here is what nobody tells you. The fear you have been trying to fight your entire life is not the enemy. It is a mirror. Most people spend years running from fear, building systems to avoid it, distracting themselves with noise, routine, comfort, and other people's opinions. They think courage means the absence of fear. They are wrong. And that one misunderstanding, that single quiet mistake, is costing them everything. So before you try to kill your fear, you need to understand what it actually is, because what you have been fighting is never the real threat. Identity reframe. Most people treat fear like a malfunction. They wake up feeling anxious and think something is broken inside them. They see confident people and assume those people feel nothing, so they try to suppress it, medicate it, outrun it, and the harder they run, the stronger it gets. Whereas the truth most people never reach. Fear is not a sign that something is wrong with you. Fear is a signal that something matters to you. The problem is not that you feel it. The problem is that you have never learned how to read it. Think about what happens when you feel fear before a big conversation, before stepping into a new role, before making a decision that could change your life. Your brain produces the exact same chemical cocktail it would produce if you were being chased by something dangerous. Same heart rate, same shallow breath, same tunnel vision. But you are not being chased. You are standing at the edge of growth. And your nervous system does not know the difference. Here is where it gets deeper. The people who seem fearless feel it too. The difference is not chemistry. The difference is interpretation. They train themselves to read that signal differently, not as a warning to stop, but as a signal to pay attention. That is the reframe. Fear is not your enemy. Fear is your compass. And if you have been running from it, you have been running from the very thing that was trying to guide you toward what matters. Structured framework. Core value, 5 principles. Principle 1. Fear means you have something to lose. Here is what nobody says out loud. You only fear the things attached to your identity. Think about it. You are not afraid of losing a job you hate. You're afraid of losing the one that defines you. You're not afraid of losing someone you barely know. You are afraid of losing the one who sees you. Fear is always proportional to value. The common mistake is treating all fear equally. People say, I'm scared without asking. Scared of what? Exactly? And why does it matter to me? When you stop running and start asking that question, fear stops being a wall. It becomes a map. Start here. When fear shows up, write down what specifically you are afraid of losing. 9 times out of 10, that thing is worth protecting, or it is worth releasing. Either way, now you know that knowledge is power. Principle 2. Avoidance builds the monster. The more you avoid something, the larger it grows. This is not philosophy. This is neuroscience. Every time your brain sends a fear signal and you back away, it records the lesson. This thing was dangerous enough to escape. Next time, the signal comes faster and louder. You are not calming your fear by avoiding it. You are training it to become stronger. The mistake is believing that comfort reduces fear. Comfort maintains it. Action dissolves it, not the absence of fear. But action taken alongside fear. There's a specific kind of action that works, not reckless, not dramatic. Deliberate, small, consistent forward movement into the thing that makes you uncomfortable. One step, then another. The brain begins to reclassify the threat. Not because the danger disappeared, because you walked toward it and nothing catastrophic happened. Do this repeatedly and fear recalibrates. That is how you kill it, not with willpower, with repetition. Principle 3, the story you tell about fear becomes your reality. Every person has a story about themselves. A working theory of who they are, what they are capable of, and what they deserve. Fear feeds that story, or it is starved by it. Here is the common pattern. Someone feels fear. They interpret it as a warning. They back away. And then they say to themselves, I knew I wasn't ready for that. That story gets reinforced over and over, until the fear does not even need to be real anymore. The body starts producing it on anticipation alone. You do not feel fear because the situation is dangerous. You feel it because your story says you cannot handle it. The correction is not positive thinking. Correction is narrative surgery. You have to go into the story you were telling about yourself and locate the moment it was written. Most of those stories were written in childhood by a teacher, a parent, failure that hit too hard too young. Those stories are old. They are not accurate. And they are not yours. Rewrite the story you tell about fear. Now, I cannot handle this, but this feeling means I am entering something real. That shift alone changes everything. Principle 4. The body knows before the mind decides. Fear lives in the body first. Before you have a conscious thought, your chest tightens, your jaw locks, your shoulders rise. The mind interprets these sensations after the fact, and the interpretation it gives will determine everything. The mistake most people make is ignoring the body entirely. They try to think their way out of fear. They make lists, they rationalize, they argue with themselves. But the body does not respond to arguments. It responds to presence. When fear arises, do not immediately narrate it. Instead, breathe into it. Locate where it sits physically. Do not label it as fear right away. Notice the sensation without immediately assigning meaning. This small pause creates a gap between stimulus and response. In that gap lives your power. You are no longer the person who reacts to fear automatically. You are the person who observes it, understands it, and then decides. That is a fundamentally different kind of human being. Principle 5. Courage is a habit, not a trait. Nobody is born courageous. Courage is a muscle. It is built the same way every other muscle is built. Stress, recovery, repetition. The mistake is waiting until you feel brave to take action. Brave people do not wait to feel brave. They act despite the feeling, and the feeling eventually follows. Think of someone in your life who seems fearless. They did not wake up one day with a new personality. They faced something small and survived, then something slightly larger, then larger still. Over time, the category of things I can handle expanded, not because life got easier, because they got bigger. This is available to you. Every time you do the thing that scares you, even a small version of it, you are depositing courage into your account. The balance grows. And what once felt like a wall starts to feel like a door, open loops. But here is where it gets deeper. Everything I have shared with you so far works. It will change how you relate to fear. It will give you tools to move through it. But there is one more layer, something that most self-development content never reaches. Something that will reframe this entire conversation. Because all of these principles assume that fear is something to overcome. And that assumption is the last illusion we need to break. Hold that thought. Section 5, Escalation Phase, the higher level insight. Here's the question nobody asks. What if the goal was never to kill your fear? What if fear is not the obstacle but the doorway? Every significant transformation in your life happened on the other side of something that terrified you. The relationship that changed you, the decision that redefined you, the moment you finally stopped hiding. Every single one of those came wrapped in fear. This means fear is not the thing that blocks growth. Fear is the texture of growth. It is what growth actually feels like from the inside. People talk about finding their purpose, their path, their calling, but they want it to feel comfortable, safe, certain. It will never feel that way. Your deepest calling will always be the thing that scares you most, because it requires the most from you. Here is the shift. Stop asking how to eliminate fear from your life. Start asking what your fear is protecting, not from external danger. It's from internal truth. It's because the most powerful fear most people carry is not the fear of failure. It is the fear of their own potential. The fear that if they truly showed up fully, without apology, they might become someone they do not yet know how to be. That is the real edge. And most people retreat from it their entire lives without ever naming it. Section 6. Final revelation. You came into this conversation thinking fear was something to defeat, something to manage, something to silence. But now you see it differently. Fear is the proof that you are alive enough to care. It is the signal that you are standing at a threshold that matters. Every time you move through it, not by eliminating it, not by pretending it is not there, but by choosing to act while it is present, you become something your past self could not have imagined. This is not about becoming fearless. This is about becoming someone who is no longer controlled by fear. That is the distinction. Fearless is a myth. Uncontrolled is a choice. The warrior does not go to battle without fear. The warrior goes to battle having made peace with it. Fear says this matters. You say, I know, and I am going anyway. That is the version of you that changes your life. Not someday, not when you feel ready. Right now, with the fear still present, that is how you kill it, not by destroying it, by refusing to let it lead. Section T, identity-based. I want to leave you with a question, not a task, not an instruction. Question to sit with. What is the one thing in your life that you have been consistently avoiding, not because you lack the ability, but because stepping toward it would require you to become someone new? That thing, that discomfort you keep postponing, that is your next move. If this conversation reached something real in you, something you have been circling for a long time, comment the word threshold, because that is where you are. The only question that remains is whether you cross it.